My ex-girlfriend sent me a video of her cheating for our anniversary, then told me, "How you feel, Aaron, is how I felt when you went out with that barista." When I confronted her, she said, "You're pathetic." I stayed silent. That was a year ago. This morning, she was sobbing in our apartment lobby while her parents dragged her away. I should have known something was off when I saw her name pop up on my phone that morning. 3 years to the day since we started dating. Melissa. I hadn't heard from her in months. Not since she blocked me on everything but email. I thought maybe, just maybe, she was reaching out to say something kind. Some acknowledgement of what we used to be. Stupid me. The video started without warning. It was her, sitting on a hotel bed in a red dress I bought her last Christmas. Laughing. Next to her was some guy I didn't recognize. Shirtless, smug, with a whiskey glass in one hand and his other hand sliding under her thigh like I wasn't even watching. "Happy anniversary, babe," she said into the camera, smiling sweet but sharp, like a knife disguised as a lollipop. "Remember that time I caught you smiling at the barista? What was her name, Amber? You swore it meant nothing, but I saw how you looked at her. This is me doing nothing. See the difference?" Then she turned to the guy, kissed him on the neck, and said, "He never made me feel this way." She winked. End of video. My chest went cold. I didn't move for a long time. I just stared at the black screen, hearing that last line on repeat inside my head. I didn't cry. I just sat there, letting the numbness sink in like concrete. A few hours later, I messaged her. I shouldn't have, but I needed answers. Needed something to make it make sense. She answered right away. "Still obsessing?" she wrote. "God, you're so predictable." It was a joke. Lighten up. So I called her. She picked up laughing. "You actually called me? Wow. What the hell was that, Melissa? What do you think it was?" Her voice was calm, bored, like we were talking about the weather. "A mirror. I wanted you to feel humiliated the way I felt that day in the coffee shop. Remember when I walked in and you were flirting with that girl behind the counter? Yeah, this is me returning the favor." "I didn't cheat," I said. "Yeah," she said, dragging out the word. "But you could have." And that was it. Her whole justification. "God, you're pathetic," she added. "Still waiting around for a girl who never loved you back." I didn't say anything. There was no point. Nothing I could say would change the way she saw me. I hung up. And for the first time since she left, I realized something. I wasn't going to fight anymore. I was done being her punching bag. A year later, she reached out again. The message came out of nowhere, like a ghost knocking at your door. Just a casual, "Hey, you free to meet up sometime soon?" No explanation. No apology. Just the assumption that I'd say yes. And I did. But not for the reason she thought. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop near downtown, Linden Bean Cafe. Same one we used to go to back when things were good. Or when I thought they were. She showed up 5 minutes late, naturally. Walked in like she owned the place, wearing a low-cut blouse and a tight black skirt that screamed attention. Her hair was curled just right. Lips painted dark red like she was headed to a club, not a coffee date. "Wow," she said as she sat down, tossing her purse onto the table without even looking at me. "Didn't expect you to still wear flannel. You look like a lumberjack who quit halfway through chopping trees." "Nice to see you too," I said. She smiled and leaned back in her chair like this was her show, and I was just lucky to be cast. "I was surprised you reached out," she said. "I figured you'd still be too heartbroken to talk to me. But maybe this means you finally grew up." I let her talk. That was the plan. She kept going, sipping her iced vanilla latte between monologues. She told me about her healing journey, which apparently involved sleeping with 2 different real estate agents, one married crypto investor, and a bartender from Nashville who ruined her in the best way. "They all taught me something," she said. "Unlike you. You just existed. Like wallpaper." I nodded slowly. "Sounds like you've had quite a year." "Oh, I have," she said with a grin. "You wouldn't believe the things I've tried. The people I've met. Real men. Confident. Loud. Wild. Not quiet little sad guys who talk about their feelings over Eggs Benedict." I glanced at the front door. Tyler was right on time. She didn't notice him walk in at first. She was too busy dragging me for old texts and outdated fashion sense. Then she saw him. Tall, clean-cut, khakis, and a Henley. Her face froze for half a second. "Oh," she said, glancing between us. "You brought someone." I stood up. "Melissa, this is Tyler." Tyler smiled politely. "Nice to meet you. And you are?" "Your future brother-in-law," he said. She blinked. "What?" "I'm marrying Amelia," he said. "Jack's sister." Her smile faltered. "Wait, Amelia? You're joking." "Nope," I said. Melissa turned to me. "So what? You brought him here to rub it in my face." I looked her dead in the eye. "I brought him here to show you that I don't care anymore. Not about you. Not about the past. Not about whatever power trip you think you're still on." She tried to laugh it off, but her eyes couldn't hide the sting. "You're full of shit," she snapped. "You always were." I didn't respond. Tyler gave her a polite nod. Good luck with your healing. And we walked out. We didn't go far, just across the street to a park bench facing the cafe windows. I knew she'd watch us leave. That was part of it. Tyler leaned against the bench arm while I sat, letting the last few seconds of that meeting settle in. She's gonna explode when she puts it together, he said. I gave a dry laugh. She's already halfway there. Sure enough, 2 minutes later, the cafe door flew open. Melissa stormed out, heels clacking hard against the pavement. She didn't even look both ways crossing the street. She marched straight toward us like we owed her something. What the hell was that? She demanded, arms folded tight across her chest. Coffee, I said, keeping my voice calm. Don't play games, Jack, she snapped. Why was he really here? Tyler gave her a slow shrug. We wanted to say hi. Civil-like. Melissa turned back to me. Her eyes were blazing now. You're still obsessed with me. That's what this is. You can't stand that I moved on. You had to drag my sister into it. Make it some twisted little revenge story. I stood up. This has nothing to do with revenge. Bullshit, she spat. You're still hung up on me. That's why you're always lurking, always trying to prove something. It's pathetic. I didn't flinch. I just held up my left hand and showed her the ring. That shut her up. For a second, all the air seemed to leave her lungs. Her eyes dropped to my hand, then jumped back to my face, then down again like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. No, she said quietly. You're not engaged. I am. Her voice cracked. To who? I looked her square in the face. Amelia. She blinked. My sister. I nodded. You're lying. Nope. She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. She wouldn't do that to me. She did, I said. Because she's not you. Melissa stared at me like the whole world had tilted sideways. And maybe for her, it had. Her confidence drained out of her in slow drips. She looked smaller now, confused, unsteady. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback. Tyler gave a small, almost sympathetic smile. Congratulations, by the way. You're gonna be my sister-in-law. Wild, huh? Melissa didn't answer. She just stood there, lips parted, breathing shallow. I turned to leave. Tyler followed. As we walked off, I could still feel her eyes on my back. But this time, they didn't hold power. Just disbelief. And maybe a little fear. The morning of the wedding was supposed to be calm. The sky was clear, the venue was perfect, and Amelia looked like something out of a bridal magazine. Everything had gone smoothly in rehearsal. Everyone showed up on time. Except one. Melissa. We invited her. Or rather, Amelia did. She's still my sister, she had said, chewing her lip nervously. Maybe this will help her grow up. I didn't argue. I just prepared for the storm. She arrived 20 minutes before the ceremony. Late enough to make an entrance, early enough to cause problems. She stepped out of a rideshare in a long white gown. Not ivory. Not champagne. White. I saw her before Amelia did. She walked right past me in the courtyard like we were strangers. Really? I said, keeping my voice low. She smiled sweetly. What? It's not like I'm wearing a veil. Melissa. It's a formal event, she said with a shrug. I dressed for the occasion. Before I could respond, one of the ushers called everyone to their seats. Guests were already staring. Some were whispering. She sat in the front row. Amelia spotted her just as she reached the entrance doors with her dad. Her grip on his arm tightened. Is she seriously wearing white? She whispered. I met her eyes and nodded once. I'll handle it. But Amelia shook her head. No, let her make a fool of herself. And so we began. The ceremony went on. Vows were exchanged. Rings placed. Melissa sat stiffly through it all, arms crossed, lips twitching every time someone clapped or smiled in our direction. But she didn't move. The trouble came later, at the reception. Dinner was halfway through when Melissa stood up. No warning. No announcement. She made her way to the stage and yanked the microphone right out of the best man's hands. Sorry, she said into the mic. I just wanted to say a few words about the happy couple. The music faded. Forks paused midair. I froze. Melissa smiled at us like we were a joke she was about to deliver. I've known Jack for a long time, she started. Longer than most of you. I've known his habits, his routines, his shortcomings. A few nervous laughs scattered through the crowd. Amelia's jaw tensed. I just think it's important people know what they're getting into, Melissa continued. Like how Jack used to cry after sex. Or how he once begged me to take him back over text while drunk, 4 times in one night. There was a heavy, stunned silence. And now he's married to my sister, she said, her smile stretching too wide. So, good luck with all that. She raised her glass like she was offering a toast. But no one clinked. Amelia's uncle stood up first. That's enough. Then her aunt. Then her mother, who walked up and gently took the mic from Melissa's hand. You need to leave, she said softly, but with steel in her voice. Melissa stood there frozen, like the room had betrayed her. Then she turned, grabbed her purse, and walked out without another word. No one followed. It started small. A glimpse. A flash of something familiar. The first time we saw her after the wedding was at a farmer's market 2 weeks later. Amelia nudged me as we passed the flower stall. "Jack," she whispered. Back left. I turned. Melissa was standing by a crate of peaches, sunglasses too big for her face, pretending to smell a nectarine. She looked away the second our eyes met. "Let's go," I said. We didn't stop for anything else. The next time was at the grocery store, then the gym, then at a gas station clear across town from her apartment. Each time, she didn't say anything, just lingered, hovered. At first, we chalked it up to coincidence. But after the fourth or fifth time, it got harder to ignore. She always showed up alone, always within 20 feet, always with her phone out, like she was checking messages or pretending to scroll. One night, after dinner, Amelia stood at our living room window, staring out at the driveway. "She was parked down the street earlier," she said. "I saw her car." "Are you sure?" "Yes." I looked out. Nothing now, just dark street and porch lights. But my gut was starting to twist. Something felt off. The next morning, we found a photo in my email. No message, no subject line, just a picture of Amelia and me walking out of our therapy appointment. My chest tightened. How the hell did she? "She followed us," Amelia said quietly. "She must have waited in the lot." That's when we started keeping notes. Dates, times, locations. Every encounter, every suspicious car parked too long down our street. I even set up a camera above the garage. The footage didn't catch much. Just a figure in the distance once, around midnight, walking past the house too slowly, then turning back around and walking by again. I sent the clip to myself and saved it. After that, we started changing our routine. Different grocery store, earlier gym hours. Amelia started parking in a different section at work. But the sightings continued. A week later, she showed up at the same bookstore Amelia liked, stood behind us in line, buying a blank journal. She didn't speak, just smiled as Amelia handed over her debit card. Amelia didn't sleep that night. Neither did I. "I don't understand what she wants," she said, curled up on the couch under a blanket. "Does she want to be part of our life again? Or just ruin it?" I didn't have an answer. All I knew was that the air around us felt heavier every day, like we were always being watched, judged, followed. I looked at Amelia. Her shoulders were tense, eyes tired. She didn't deserve this. "I'll protect us," I said. "Whatever it takes." She nodded, but her fingers kept gripping the edge of the blanket. And the next morning, the car was back, parked across the street, engine running, empty. At least, it looked that way. The first email hit my inbox on a Tuesday morning. Subject line: "Do you really know who Jack is?" It was sent from a fake address, no name. Inside was a typed-out message accusing me of manipulating Amelia, stealing her from her family, and faking my professional credentials. It claimed I was dangerous and unstable. There were no attachments, no threats, just slander dressed up like a whistleblower letter. I stared at the screen, jaw tight. 2 hours later, Amelia got one too. This one was worse. It called her a homewrecker, said she had betrayed her sister, and would pay the price in the end. That same fake email account. That same cold, smug tone. We didn't need to ask who sent them. "I'm scared to open my email now," she said, sitting on the edge of the bed that night. Every ding makes my stomach flip. It didn't stop there. By Thursday, both of our jobs had received anonymous messages. Mine accused me of falsifying project hours. Hers said she was emotionally unstable and hostile in meetings. Amelia's supervisor pulled her into a quiet room and asked gently, "Is everything okay at home?" That was the moment we knew. It wasn't just games anymore. It was war. The worst came a week later. I found it in our mailbox, wrapped in a plain white envelope with no return address. Inside was an old photograph of me and Melissa, maybe 2 years into our relationship, sitting at the lake, my arm around her. Taped to the back was a yellow sticky note. "Bet Amelia doesn't know how much you begged to keep me." Underneath that was a small, bent keychain I hadn't seen in years. A dumb souvenir from a gas station road trip, something Melissa used to keep on her keys. I stared at it for a long time. Then I burned it. That same day, Amelia got a box at work. Inside was a bundle of dried roses and a card that said, "Some things never die." We sat on the floor of the living room that night, our phones off, every light in the house on. Amelia wrapped her arms around her knees and whispered, "I feel like she's crawling into every part of our life." I nodded, numb. "She is." We started a folder. Screenshots, photos, printouts, camera footage, everything. I made copies, stored them on a flash drive, kept it in the glove box of the car. And finally, we called a lawyer. "I know it feels overwhelming," she said, flipping through the printouts, "but you've got a solid case here. Harassment, defamation, possible stalking. I'd advise getting a protective order soon." We walked out of her office with a plan. A real one. But later that night, As I stood at the kitchen sink rinsing a plate, I caught movement outside the window. Just a shadow. A flash of motion. I dropped the plate and ran out the back door. The yard was empty, but the back gate was open. The final blow came on a Sunday morning. Amelia and I were eating breakfast, pancakes, coffee, silence, when both our phones buzzed at the same time. Different emails. Same sender. Same poison. This time, she'd gone too far. Melissa had sent fake emails to both our workplaces, claiming we were involved in unethical activity. Mine accused me of insider trading. Amelia's said she was leaking confidential data. It was amateurish, badly worded, and clearly made by someone with no understanding of corporate structure. But the intent was clear. She wanted us destroyed. And yet, somehow, I wasn't angry anymore. Just tired. Later that afternoon, we went to Amelia's cousin's wedding, a small gathering at her parents' lake house. Family was everywhere. Laughter, clinking glasses, kids running around barefoot on the lawn. It should have been peaceful, but Melissa showed up, uninvited. She arrived in a flowy blue dress and fake smiled her way through the front gate like she belonged. She didn't even glance at the bride and groom. She came straight for us. I saw her out of the corner of my eye, cutting through the crowd, ignoring stares. Amelia stiffened beside me. "Jack," she whispered. "I see her." Melissa stopped 2 feet from us. "Nice party," she said, fake cheerful. "It's nice that people still include me, considering how hard you've tried to erase me." "You're not supposed to be here," Amelia said, flat and firm. Melissa smiled wider. "What can I say? I like crashing happy endings." She turned to me. "You look older. Stress doesn't suit you." I stayed quiet. Then she did it. She stepped beside us and tried to edge into the family photos. Literally inserted herself next to Amelia's parents, positioning herself like she'd never been cut off. Like nothing had happened. Aunt Laura hesitated with the camera. Up. Amelia reached for my hand. Her voice was steady, but low. "We can't let her keep doing this." So I turned. Loud enough for everyone to hear. I said, "Melissa, you need to leave." A few heads turned. Her expression faltered. "This isn't your place," I continued. "You weren't invited. And after what you've done, no one here wants you around." Gasps. A murmur. She blinked, confused. Angry. "Excuse me. You've stalked us," I said. "You've emailed lies to our bosses. You've followed us, harassed us, sent anonymous threats. And now you think you can just smile your way into a family photo?" More eyes now. Half the party had gone still. Someone put down a drink. "This is a warning," I added, voice sharp now. "We have everything saved. Emails, footage, witnesses. You either leave now, or the next time you show up uninvited, it'll be with a restraining order in your hand." Melissa's face cracked. Just a flicker. A twitch in the eye, a tremble in the lip. "You're insane," she hissed. "You're making me out to be some kind of monster." Amelia stepped forward. "No, Melissa. You did that yourself." Then, for the first time in years, Amelia's parents said something. Her dad, usually quiet, always diplomatic, stepped beside us and put a hand on Melissa's shoulder. "You need help," he said, gently but firmly. "And we're not going to pretend anymore." Melissa looked stunned. "You're siding with them?" "We're not siding with anyone," her mother said, stepping in. "We're finally seeing the truth. You're not well. You need help. Real help." "No," Melissa whispered. "You're all brainwashed." But no one stopped her as she stormed off. And for once, no one followed. Melissa was admitted to a treatment facility a week later. Amelia's parents made the arrangements. It wasn't court-ordered, yet, but after the wedding incident and the evidence we submitted to our attorney, Melissa's options were limited. Either she got help voluntarily, or risked a public restraining order and formal charges. For once, she chose the quieter exit. The last message she sent came through her mother. "Tell them I'm not sorry yet, but maybe I will be someday." That was about as close to an apology as Melissa had ever come. And strangely, it was enough. Her parents came over the day after she was admitted. Her mother looked exhausted, like she'd been holding a heavy door shut for too long. Her father was quieter than usual, but when he hugged Amelia, it was different this time. Not out of obligation, but relief. "We should have seen it sooner," he said to me in the kitchen while we poured coffee. "We should have protected you both." I didn't say anything, just handed him his mug and nodded. He looked down at it like it held all the guilt he didn't know what to do with. From that moment on, something shifted. The constant fear that had shadowed our house for months, it was gone. The doorbell didn't make Amelia flinch anymore. I stopped looking over my shoulder when we were out in public. We could breathe again. A few weeks later, Amelia and I took a weekend trip to Asheville. Just the two of us. No phones. No internet. We hiked trails, cooked over a fire pit, and lay on a blanket watching stars with no headlights in sight. "I feel like we've finally started our life," she said one night, her head resting on my chest. "Like we've been frozen in someone else's chaos, and now, It's just us. I wrapped my arm around her and nodded. This is what peace feels like. When we got back, we made some changes. We turned the guest room into an office/nursery. The test Amelia took a few days before our trip had come back with 2 lines. We were going to have a baby. When I found out, I didn't cry. I just stood there in the hallway holding the test strip, stunned and grateful in a way I didn't have words for. Our home became softer. We painted the walls a warm gray, bought baby books, started sleeping with the windows open again. There were no more unexpected knocks. No more mysterious emails. Just life, the good kind. We saw Amelia's parents more often, but on our terms. Dinners at our place. Boundaries respected. No more passive apologies. No more making excuses for anyone else. Melissa stayed in the facility longer than we expected. 6 weeks turned into 3 months. Last we heard, she was making progress. Talking, writing, owning things she used to deny. I don't know if we'll ever speak to her again. I don't know if Amelia will want to. That's her decision to make, not mine. But I do know this. Whatever comes next, it won't be like before. Because now, we know what we're willing to tolerate. What we're not. Who we are without someone else's storm drowning us. And for the first time in years, we're building something that's only ours. No shadows. Just light.